Are MMOs actually bad for you? Watch to the end to find out.
The MMORPG genre certainly attracts some weird and wonderful people from many different
That's
backgrounds,
fair.
but generally MMOs have been more associated with nerd culture than other gaming genres over the past 20 years. I remember back in high school.
Oh, really? Nerd culture, huh? You mean it's not jocks and super cool guys playing these MMORPGs? Yeah, no, it's definitely nerds.
All the kids that played RuneScape would hang out together, and all the kids that played WoW would also hang out together.
Yep.
These groups were seen as the nerds, whilst all the cool kids were
nerds!
playing Halo 3 or Call of Duty.
Hey, hold on. The nerds can play Halo and Call of Duty as well. Let's be clear.
I remember seeing documentaries on TV about how addictive World of Warcraft was, and hearing stories about people becoming so obsessed with the game that they died from playing it too long, or they'd pee in bottles to avoid going to the toilet just so they could keep playing the game.
Okay, those are just degenerates. Let's be clear about that. You have to have absolutely zero self-control to need to pee in a bottle to avoid giving up on gameplay time. That's pretty bad. But yeah, I do remember hearing about those articles. I don't remember hearing about the one where someone died. That's got to be an extreme edge case. But yeah, I do remember hearing about those articles about like parents being worried about their kids giving up their lives for, or their playtime, their social lives for MMOs. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Man, bathroom!
Naturally, after hearing these fierce stories in the news as a teenager, it just made me think, this game must be really fucking good if it's having that effect on people.
Right?
And thus my journey down the MMO rabbit hole began.
There you go.
18 years later, here I am covering MMORPGs for a living. I've gone through multiple phases where MMOs have either had a severely negative impact on my life.
Oh, he was a chunky boy. Dang. I'd heard him talk about this in some of his videos that he used to be kind of chunky, but yeah, he had some weight before. Not bad. He still looks good.
And an incredibly positive impact.
But look at that switch, man. He went from like chunky nerdy boy to like looking Giga Chad. Look at this guy. Dang.
Impact. So in this video we're going to talk about both the good and the bad about being an MMORPG player, ultimately ending in my opinion about the title of this video.
Okay.
Are MMORPGs actually bad for you? So what are some of the negative effects of playing MMORPGs? I think the biggest and most obvious thing is addiction. Most of the problems related to MMOs come down to just putting too much time and energy into these games.
Right, exactly. I mean, and it should seem obvious, but I guess maybe it's not to some. Like addiction, and it's a real thing. If there's a positive kind of feedback loop that you're getting from it, and you keep going back to it, and you keep running to it as an escape, or maybe not even an escape. It's just you really like that positive feedback loop. The positive release of chemicals in your brain from the fun you get from the game. Yeah, that's addiction, man.
And every sub-issue I'm about to mention, such as poor social skills, bad hygiene, unhealthy lifestyle, fucked up priorities, and damaging your relationships, is ultimately down to addiction or lack of self-control in one way or another. The easy response to this is, just play MMOs casually, lol.
Exactly. Just be a casual. The obvious solution. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you get made fun of for that, or not even allowed into guilds or raids for that. I'm pretty sure being a casual is kind of looked down upon.
Yeah, easier said than done. MMOs by design are made in a way so that to achieve anything meaningful in-game, you need to put in a crap ton of time and energy into them.
Exactly.
Sure, you can play MMOs casually and have a decent enough time with average progress, but if the game's really good, the sense of progression is spiking your dopamine in all the right ways, and you're in that MMO flow state, it's extremely easy to fall down the slippery slope of addiction.
Oh yeah.
Especially for people who aren't getting any sense of fulfillment in their real life. If you have a boring, stressful life, and the only dopamine you're getting comes from video games, then naturally it's much easier to become addicted, because you're not...
Yeah. Exactly, man. And I feel so bad for people in this situation. Like, maybe you have no girlfriend or wife or kids or whatever, or maybe it's just the career. Maybe you're stuck in a career that you hate. You know, it's not satisfying or rewarding for you, and you just really don't have maybe any other hobbies or something. And so MMOs or video games in general are just, that's what gives you the dopamine, like he's saying. That's what gives you that positive, reaction and feedback loop. And so you just keep going back to it.
You're not getting that good feeling from anything else. Eventually, once you're deep enough into an MMO, you might join a guild that pushes progression raiding or competitive PvP.
Yeah.
And here you're basically signing up to play the game for a minimum amount of hours per week.
This is what I was talking
because
about.
It's what
This is exactly what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, so, you want to join the guild, huh? Okay, well, you're going to have to play at least this many days per week and this many hours during those days, and then you're also going to have to contribute a certain number or amount of gold to the guild. Yeah, and then you're only then joining the waiting list. Yeah, it can be pretty ridiculous.
What the guild expects from you to keep up with the gearing requirements.
Yeah.
Not all MMOs are like this. Guild Wars 2 is a good example of an MMO with no gear treadmill that you can jump in and out of whenever you like. And
I do like that there's options like that. I mean, that's good. You can get that positive feedback loop, but on a tighter schedule. You don't have to grind and grind and grind like you would in World of Warcraft or something like that. With something like Guild Wars 2. I mean, yeah, that is good. That's a good alternative. I don't think there's that many alternatives like that, but it's good that there are some.
And not really get addicted. But for most MMOs, especially at launch or during a new expansion, they're extremely addictive.
Oh,
Everything's new and exciting.
Exactly.
You've got thousands of other players all pushing progression and leveling together, and you almost feel this push to race against them, or at the very least, keep up.
Yep.
Why do you feel this push? Well, if you fall behind, there's that fear that you won't be able to find groups or do the content that you want to do.
Yep.
That, as well as wanting to feel like you're a part of something, which is another feeling that a lot of MMO players lack in their real life.
Yeah,
so what's the problem with being an MMO addict? If you're having fun, then it's not all that harmful, right? Well,
where's the harm in that? I just want my dopamine rush. Come on.
Depends. Last year when Lost Ark first launched, I got so addicted to that game I literally could not sleep. Yes, I was having fun, but I didn't want to make YouTube content because I wanted to play Lost Ark. I didn't want to go to the gym, meet my friends, leave the house, give my girlfriend attention, or do anything else other than play Lost Ark.
Yeah, see that, okay, so he's got the serious kind of gaming addiction. Like, if he finds a game that gives him a positive reaction, he just goes all in and gives up everything else in his real life. That's where it gets a little serious, a little bad. For me, I played Lost Ark, and I definitely kind of, I would say I got addicted for a short period, but I'm more of like a social MMO player. Like I like to play if I have a group that I enjoy playing with, and there was like 3 or 4 other guys playing that I really enjoyed playing with, and when they stopped, a couple weeks after launch, they kind of fell off or lost interest or whatever. I also stopped playing, and that kind of saved me, because I was getting home after work and like 6 or 7 I would start PM, and then I would play until like 2 or 3 a.m. like every night, and it was bad. It was bad.
And when I did leave the house, my eyes were bloodshot red from looking at the screen all day. This has been the case with me in the past with so many different MMOs. RuneScape, WoW, Black Desert Online, New World, Lost Ark, Arcade, and so on.
I was similar with New World as well. Yeah, when New World came out, it was like, oh yeah, let's binge this. It's crazy. It's so new MMO. And same sort of thing. Friends stopped playing, and I fell off too.
Whenever I've been addicted to an MMO, I've always been fully aware that this isn't healthy, but at the time, I never seemed to care.
Yep.
It's easy to care more about what's going on in this parallel virtual life than what's going on in the real world, which occasionally can be a good crutch if you're going through some hard times. Sometimes, though, addiction isn't really that tied to fun or enjoyment.
I don't really see a problem necessarily with MMOs being a crutch. I really don't, but it should only be for the short term. Like maybe you got out of a bad relationship, or you lost someone, or you got fired, or quit from a nasty job or something like that, or you don't have the choice to quit and you're going through a tough time at your job and you just need to get through it. Like, I don't really see MMOs being a crutch for a short period as a bad thing, but you have to get through that period and then kind of find a way to actually deal with your real life problems. Like, using the MMO to come to terms with your situation. Like, okay, I need a distraction for a little bit, and then I'll think about, I'll address the things going on. That's fine. But yeah, long term, I'm just gonna sink my whole life into an MMO and not have a real life anymore. I think that's unhealthy. That's definitely not good.
You can be addicted to a game that you no longer enjoy purely because you've invested so much time into it in the past.
Yeah.
This is quite a depressing state to be in, because you're putting time into something but getting no enjoyment back.
Right.
You're chasing the dopamine hits that got you into the MMO in the first place, but those rewards just don't feel the same.
Yeah.
It's at this point where you should probably take...
Yes, you literally need to get out and touch grass, people. If you're spending, like, let's say 51% or more of your time on an MMO, your free time, let's say, because maybe you have a job or whatever, you go to school. But 51% of your time or more on MMOs, you need to change it up. Get out and touch some grass, change your perspective, try and find another hobby, or, make sure you're taking care of your responsibilities in your life at least. Like, you should be hitting all those check boxes, like, I gotta, I don't know, take a shower, I gotta, make sure the clothes are washed, things like that. Like, keep that perspective.
Take a break or make better use of your time. Another common issue that MMO addicts generally face is poor social skills in real life. If you're spending all your time typing or talking to people online and not face-to-face, then you might not be very good at reading body language or have experience in certain social situations.
Right.
This was a problem I had back in high school. I chose to play WoW and RuneScape over going to parties and meeting up with friends after school.
Exactly.
This caused me to be very socially awkward in my late teens. I didn't really know how to talk to girls, I had no confidence, and I didn't want to leave my safe online space.
Yeah.
This was compounded by the next negative aspect of being an MMO addict: the unhealthy lifestyle.
Oh, man.
When you're addicted to MMOs, the last thing you want to do is spend time away from the computer preparing healthy meals, working out at the gym, exercising, getting 8 hours of sleep, and seeing sunlight.
Exactly. Oh, man. MMOs are so unhealthy for you physically. Like, staying up late, eating junk food, oh man, not getting out and doing some exercise. There's a trifecta of good health in life, right? You gotta exercise. You gotta, let's say, walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And preferably getting in some cardio, right? And like upper body workouts. 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And then eating your fruits and veggies, as well as, your meat groups and everything else. Like, you gotta get those 3 things in, and then you gotta live like 10 to 15% longer than the other guys that are not doing those things. It really makes a difference.
This will obviously have a negative impact on your IRL character and perpetuate your self-confidence and social issues due to probably looking and feeling like shit all of the time.
Yeah.
And this brings me to my final point: messed up priorities.
Oh, yes.
Like a character in an RPG has mana or stamina, we all have a limited amount of willpower available to use each day in real life.
Yes.
Once that willpower is used up, you're done for the day.
I love this. I love this metaphor or analogy or whatever. That's really good. It's so true. We all have a willpower gauge, and if you're spending, 80% of it on your MMO, you're not going to have much left. You're basically going to have enough left to eat some food, maybe drag yourself out to feed the cat, and then you're not doing anything else. Are you paying the bills? Are you washing clothes? Are you taking a shower? You're missing out on all these critical things that you need to do in your life if you're spending all your time, all your willpower, energy on your MMO.
If you're addicted to MMOs, you're potentially using up all of your energy on a game that probably doesn't bring you a whole lot of happiness and fulfillment.
Yep.
Maybe you're unhappy with your current situation in life. your job, your physical appearance, your relationships, the country you live in.
Right.
You want to make a change, but you're using all your mental energy on a bullshit game that you no longer enjoy, that you'll have forgotten about in 2 years anyway.
Right.
To summarize the negative aspects of MMOs, they're basically insanely addictive because they're able to give you a budget version of all the positive emotions you'd experience in real life. Being
give me the dopamine.
Part of a group, feeling powerful, achieving goals, competing against other people, problem solving, and a long-term sense of progression where you quickly see the fruits of your hard work.
Yeah.
With self-control, these aren't bad things, and it's why MMOs are so compelling. But it's when you let MMOs take away your desire to achieve those emotions and experiences in real life, that's when things can go downhill.
Exactly.
This is basically what happened with me from 2017 to 2018 when I let Black Desert Online take over my life.
Black Desert Online. I guess I'm kind of glad that when Black Desert first came out, I didn't really have them, or I didn't feel like I had the money to pay the subscription. I know they had like a free trial period, but yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't have the money because I probably would have been addicted as well. Like, that game is so pretty to look at, and the action combat is so satisfying. Like, man, I would have just dumped hours into that game.
I had absolutely no desire to make friends IRL because I had my guildmates in BDO.
Yeah.
I weighed 105 kilograms due to not working out and eating a gamer diet. And I didn't feel any urge to progress or make money because I was so focused on my progression in-game.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, things changed. Which brings me on to the next part of this video.
Good for you, man.
Why I think MMOs can be quite good for you.
Let's hear the good.
First off, MMORPGs actually teach you a lot of skills that can be applied to the real world.
Okay.
Here's just a few examples. Guild leaders and raid leaders practice management skills, organizational skills, as well as staying calm under pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
Learning how to flip items on the auction house not only teaches you how supply and demand works, but it also teaches you to look for niches in markets. I learned to be extra careful about trusting people on the internet and avoid scams after I got lured into the RuneScape wilderness for my entire bank at the age of 12 years old.
I think everybody who plays RuneScape experiences this at least once, but not me. Of course, not me.
If you're a top tier raider, you're learning how to follow complex instructions, work together with other people, and solve problems.
Right.
Many people who aren't native English speakers have basically taught themselves an entire language from playing MMOs.
Oh, wow.
And many people have formed lasting relationships in real life with people that they've met in these games.
Yeah.
But here,
I still talk to some guys that I met on League of Legends. I mean, that's not an MMO, but yeah, same sort of thing.
Here's the best part. If you change your mindset to imagine that real life is an MMORPG, not only does it help you make better decisions, but it also helps you figure out what you want to get out of life.
I actually really like this. Yes, think of your life as an MMO. What's the next quest? How do I get experience to level up in this area of my life? How can I max out this life skill? I like that. That's really good.
If real life had a user interface and you could see all of your stats, what would they be? If you could see yourself getting XP in real time and leveling up your skills,
right,
would that be more motivating to you?
I think it would be.
Every time you go to the gym, you're gaining a strength level. Every time you stick to a good habit, you're leveling up your discipline skill. The more people you talk to, you're leveling up your charisma.
This is what you guys need. Any of you struggling with gaming addiction, MMO addiction, this is what you got to do. Change your perspective. Gamify your life. And maybe real life will be more satisfying.
And as you're leveling up your IRL stats more and more, you unlock new quests that allow you to access new content.
Yeah.
Perhaps traveling to new zones. Perhaps you unlock the girlfriend expansion. Or you gain new abilities in the form of speaking new languages, snowboarding, mountain climbing, wilderness survival, and so on. This probably sounds ridiculous, but since I've adopted this mindset, my life has improved in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You can literally open up Google Maps and ask yourself, if I was an avatar in a video game, what would be the best zone for me to level up in? This is why I decided to move to Thailand over 3 years ago. There's less open world PvP here than most other zones. The guild that runs this zone takes less of my money in taxes.
Nice.
Items at the general store are cheaper. And the weather is nice, which means I have less mental health debuffs throughout the year.
There you go. You can literally gamify your life. Look at it. He chose his biome based off of all of the the bonuses, the buffs that he gets for being there. That's awesome. Good way to look at it.
MMO players are probably the smartest, most dedicated, and slightly autistic group of gamers out there.
Hey.
When a new MMO's coming out, they theory craft, speculate, invest time researching and planning out the optimal leveling routes before a game has even released, so that upon launch they achieve their goals as efficiently as possible.
Supremely efficient.
Can you imagine how powerful applying that same level of planning and efficiency would be to the real-life MMORPG?
Seriously.
Literally, if you're unhappy with your situation, open up a notepad file and pretend that life is an MMO. What are your stats? Where are you questing? What type of content do you want to do when you reach endgame?
Seriously, I would take this very seriously. Do it. Just pull out a notepad and start tracking what milestones you want to reach, what levels are going to be super important to get to this main overall character level that you want to upgrade. Like, oh man, this would be super good. Super good for someone addicted.
Write down the different types of quests, features, content, and expansions that might unlock once you hit certain stat requirements. The problem with the real-life MMO, though, is that you have a lot of resources to manage. It's basically an open-world, hardcore survival sandbox MMO, crossed with The Sims, where you need to do a lot of character maintenance to regenerate your willpower and energy resources.
Exactly.
Oh, and you can't max out every stat either, which means...
Yeah, that's the tough one for me is... Man, you really got to pick a couple stats and just spend all your time on those. Like, literally 2 or maybe 3. Like, being a jack of all trades does not really pay off. Like, literally with money, it does not really pay off. You got to focus in on something or a couple things.
Means you need to be quite selective about how you spend your attribute points.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of sucks about the real-life MMO is that it's pretty pay to win. You can only unlock new mounts with gold and not via random drop, and if you're unlucky enough to start in one of the game's hardcore full loot PvP zones with bad starting attributes, then you're going to have a much longer grind to reach the end game.
So true.
So are MMORPGs actually bad for you? That depends.
Yeah.
If you're someone that will prioritize your in-game avatar's progress over your real-life avatar's progress, then yes, potentially. Otherwise...
Yeah, that's really all it comes down to is priorities and self-control. I mean, man, if you can handle it, if you can gamify your personal life so that you don't spend so much time on the MMO and you can kind of handle it that way, you're hitting all the check boxes to level yourself up, and then maybe you spend a little bit of extra time in your MMO. If you have 6 hours a day that you have free, and you're hitting all those check boxes and leveling up your personal life in the first 3. You got 3 hours to play your MMO, and 3 hours is a pretty good amount of time if you're really efficient and you just power through your levels and questing and hitting all those check boxes. You can get a lot done.
No, not really. MMOs can teach you a lot about real life.
Henry
and
Cavill.
I've met tons of extremely successful people who grew up playing games like RuneScape, WoW, Ultima Online, EverQuest, and so on. Level up both your IRL and in-game characters at the same time for maximum dopamine rewards, and to also min-max your happiness levels.
There you go.
But that's it for this video, guys. As always, let me know in the...
That was really good. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, just perspective change, really. If you're struggling with MMO addiction, I think you just need a perspective change. Gamify your real life. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this perspective from TheLazyPeon. This was really a good video. Well, what do you think, guys? Are MMOs bad for you? Let me know in the comments, and leave a like on the video, subscribe, and I will see you next time.